It's Tuesday to another live class with Beadaholique. I'm Deb Floros. I'm so happy to be here today, and I see Michelle is here already. Hi, Michelle. And I'm so excited about this show. I hope that some of you were planning to join this show because maybe you saw the previous episode that Julie Bean held back on October 6th. She started this conversation based on some feedback from all of you. So, hello everybody, good morning. As I said, it's October 28th, and I hope everybody had a great weekend. Let me know that you're here. Say hello. Have some conversation with all of us here. This is such a fun group. I think this is one of the best groups around. So I'm grateful that you all join us and hang out with us. Hi, Francie and KC. Hello, Julie P. Good morning, everybody. So, as a quick reminder, before we get started today, because we have a lot to talk about, Beadaholique is closing its doors, and we're, getting through some of the inventory and selling down some of the inventory. And as you may know, everything is 40% off. So we are getting in front of you guys and making sure that you're seeing some of the wonderful supplies and wonderful beads and things that are available here. So we are having shows and doing lives 3 times a week so that we can get this information in front of you, make sure that you know the great deals that are out there. And yeah, so I hope everybody had a great weekend. October 6th, Julie Bean talked about selling your handmade jewelry. And her focus at that time was on selling handmade jewelry at craft fairs and, in-person sales, maybe pop-up shops, maybe farmers markets. And we had that show in order to give you guys something that you've asked about. So great information about selling your handmade jewelry. So if you've been thinking about that, wanting to learn about that, contemplating, Julie gave some great advice. And if you haven't seen that show, you can go to beadaholique.com/live and you can go back and watch the replay of that show. Excuse me. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, except I'm going to put the spin of selling your jewelry online. So before we get started, let me just go back and see who all is here. I missed a bunch of hellos. Oh my gosh, there's so many of you here. Thank you for being here. Hi, Sharon Jennings. Hi, Jan from Montana. Monica from Rhode Island. She's excited about this show. I'm so glad. Francie loves this community. Me too. Dee from Miami. I always got to dance when I think about Miami. Hi, Lorene Sanchez. Let's see. Who else is here? Rosetta, Tanya, Emily, Texas Tracy. She's been waiting for this show. Jane from Long Island, hello. Deb says howdy from Austin, Texas. Kathleen from Southeast Florida. Vicky, hello from Maryland. Oh, Monica of Rhode Island is chatting with everybody because I love that you guys do that. Santa Barbara girl. Thaisa is here. Hello. So Thaisa and Michelle are moderating the show today. So this is a little bit of a challenging show to do. Let me catch the rest here. Randy Fleshman from Lake Worth, Florida. Heather from Boulder. Ann from New Jersey. And B from New Jersey. And let's see. Cherie from sunny Hudson, Ohio. Susan J from Seattle. Renee from Utah. Deborah from PA. Oh my gosh, you guys. Kathleen, Teresa, Stacy, Regina, oh my gosh. Okay, I think I'm fairly caught up. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Guys, this is a little bit of a different format today. And this is going to be a little challenging because I'm going to be doing some education that is mostly talking, but we got to pay the bills around here. So I've got some product to show you as well. And I want to, you guys to think about these things through the lens of selling your handmade jewelry. So I want to get this out of the way first. If you're watching at beadaholique.com/live, that's the best way to be part of the conversation. If you're watching on another platform, I can't see your comments live, but come on over and join us there so you can chit chat, ask questions, hang out with us, and you can shop the show. You can shop the show live and you can shop the show on replay as well. So if you're coming back and watching this, you can click on that little shopping bag icon. You don't have to leave the show. You don't have to go away. I don't go away. And you can see everything that's available today through the show. And everything is 40% off. So another thing to get out of the way. I'm talking about selling your handmade jewelry today, but I want you to know I'm not an expert. This is my opinion. These are my experiences. This is my knowledge, having done this for quite some time. Now, Julie shared things about selling her jewelry in person at craft fairs and farmers markets and that kind of thing. I've done that too, but I'm not a fan of that. I don't know why. I'm a pretty social person, so I just haven't really enjoyed that as much. And I used to work full time in a corporate job, and so my weekends were mine. I wanted my weekends to be mine. I didn't want to be standing at a craft fair for 2 days. So I think that's part of why I got there. But the very last craft fair I did was about 3 years ago. And I live in Arizona. It never rains here. It poured the day I did that show. And it was a nightmare. I mean, it was just a nightmare. I had no help. I had to take everything down in the pouring rain. Jewelry's getting wet. It was insanity. So I've always been pretty comfortable in the online selling space. So I thought I would share my tips and tricks and what I know and my advice to you as either potential sellers or newbie sellers, or somebody that's really just getting their feet wet with jewelry making and thinking about this down the road. So, yeah, oh, thanks, Michelle. It was crazy. I mean, completely crazy. I started selling on Etsy, back in about 2009. And I started selling on Amazon Handmade about 2014. And I was selling for a while through a private seller who had a website. And I also used to do Facebook Live sales for my jewelry. So I would hold these typically on a Friday night because I did most of them while I was still working. And so Friday night, I'd grab myself a cocktail and I would stand up and sell my jewelry. And so I've done a lot of online selling, both kind of publicly like this and then through other sites. So here's the number one thing I want to talk about is your jewelry. So if you are gearing up to sell your jewelry online, what I would recommend to you are a few things. Amp up your game in terms of supplies that you need, unique things that you can put out there in your jewelry designs. Just make sure that you've got some great things to put into your jewelry designs so that it will catch people's eyes. Also, quality is very important. Excuse me, quality is very important. So make sure that you're taking advantage of things that are nice and good and unique and different. So I want to show you a few things. I'm going to flip down and let's talk about integrating and stocking up on things that will help you with your jewelry. So first of all, I always suggest buy in bulk when you can. So if you're making certain kinds of things, get as many of them at the best price that you can. So I'm sharing this with you because 4mm bicones are one of the most common beads used, one of the most beloved beads used. And this is a great set of 4mm bicones. This is a Mr. Kitty's Sparkle Crystal Bead Extravaganza. Look at all these strands of colorful bicones. If you pick this up, you've got a bunch of nice crystal. These are check crystal glass beads that you can use in your designs, and it's 40% off. So when I talk about bulking up, buying, stocking up, look for the deals, look for the opportunities to get things, nice things, good quality things at a good price. So that's one that you can grab. Here's another cool thing that I found on the Beadaholique website. These are amazing soft corner silver plated brass beads. This is a 24-inch strand of 2.2mm beads. These are absolutely gorgeous. They are a super nice quality, 40% off, and you get a ton of them. So these are great spacers. These would go with earrings, an earring design, a necklace design. They have kind of a brushed look to them. Super cool. Spacer beads are going to be your friends. Here's another spacer bead. These are lovely little gold rondelles. I've used these in designs. These are made by Beadsmith. And these are 22 karat gold plated rondelle beads. They are 3x2mm. You get 144 of these. Can you do right angle weave with the bicones? Rosetta, I'm not a right angle weave expert, but I think you probably could. And I think I've seen people do that. So you might be, Michelle's saying yes. So Michelle knows how to do that stuff. So these are some great spacers. Stock up on those. Then I think you guys know by now that I love a good seed bead as a spacer. Here are two staples that you should have if you are going to sell your jewelry. These are Toho seed beads. There's an 8-0 seed bead in gold here. This is galvanized starlight. And the silver tone is nickel. And this is probably my #1 used seed bead in my arsenal. 11-0 nickel. And here's the permafinish galvanized starlight. So get yourself some seed beads. You've got loads of opportunity to use spacers. Gold's out of stock. I'm sorry, Vicki. Unfortunately, that's going to happen with the 40% off closing sale. What about some beautiful pearls? Glass pearls look just as beautiful as most real pearls these days. And these check glass 6mm snow beads are gorgeous. So if you are, sorry guys about the out of stock, understand that Beadaholique is going through a closing sale. So when I pulled these items, there were some available. So some may be sold out. It was not... it's just a fact of the closing sale. So I apologize for that. So there's those pearls. And then if you grab a fun strand like this, so this is on a piece, a cotton strand. They're vintage, pressed bead mixes. This is called Summer Harvest Mix. This is great when you just need to grab other, just a random couple of beads. Beautiful pieces and parts. Look at the finish on some of these beads. Really beautiful. Thank you. Who did I see that from? Michelle. Thank you for adding the others and letting folks know that. I'm doing the best I can with what I got here, you guys. So that's showing off a few bead items. Now, another thing to think about are your findings. So grab some unique findings, some things that maybe folks haven't seen. So look at these fun earring findings. These are half circle post earrings with 2 loops. They come with an earring back. They have this half moon shape and 2 loops where you can attach chain or you can add beads. You can do all kinds of fun things with these. Use your unique findings to help you draw in your customers and get them interested in what you've got going. These are very popular here at Beadaholique.com. I don't know if, oh, Rosetta, thanks. They are beautiful. These are pinch bail for earrings or pendants. So you would add a bead right in between this bead or in between these posts. And you can just attach this to an ear wire or attach this to chain or something like that. These are cool findings that you don't see everywhere. I'm picking something off the floor, you guys. So that's interesting. That's going to draw your customers in. And if you have an offering of different types of earrings, so these are post earrings. Look at these fun, pretty, elegant designs for these posts, and they have a loop. All you need to do is add something to the bottom. If you have different kinds of earrings, different kinds of earring styles, that will draw people in as well. And if you've got half-drilled beads, so sometimes half-drilled beads are challenging to find findings for. These are available. You can just glue on a half-drilled bead onto these. These are 23 millimeter half-drilled posts, and they are so lovely. So I fell in love with those. That's going to be fun to put a half-drilled bead on. And then, throw in some beautiful components, some beautiful connectors. These are super shiny. I really tried not to touch these before the show to get my fingerprints on them, but look at that shine. You can attach an ear wire up here, attach a bead, easy peasy, elegant earring, unique pieces and parts. So that's something fun. And then staples. So these French hook ear wires I've got in the show, they're kind of a staple. You can get a set of 6 of those. There's also these fun ear wires. And if you like a lever back, I like to offer lever backs to customers. These are also available. So I like to offer, ear wires in all different kinds of options. And you can even, I'm going to flip the camera back for a bit. You can even make it an option in your shop. So let's shift gears for a minute. You're going to have to watch me. Actually, I'm going to put my camera down to my list. I'm going to put my camera down to my list. A sec. So here's our to-do list about selling jewelry online. So you can get to see my terrible handwriting. So here's the number one thing. I will always tell you, no matter what the topic related to selling your jewelry online, you need to research, and then you need to research, and then you need to research. And I would actually fill up this whole page with research as 1 through 6. Because that is the key to understanding how to get out there and sell your jewelry. I want you to feel confident and comfortable to get yourself out there. So if your jewelry is good, you're confident and comfortable with your jewelry, and you want to get out there and sell, do your research. We have a local commercial with a couple of lawyers who say, do your research. Like that's what I hear in my head. Do your research, because it's so important for you to understand what you're getting yourself into and how to be successful. So, a lot of people ask, Giselle, I start with, let's talk about each of these, because this is where the research comes in. So where are you going to sell? What is your venue going to be? So I started selling on Etsy, and Etsy was very different when I started. It was all about handmade. You would never find any mass-produced items there. But it's very different now, but it is known and it is tried and true as a place to sell. There are lots of other places out there. There's Amazon Handmade. There's Michael's Maker Place. There's Whatnot, which is an online auction. eBay. There are others that I probably don't even know about. So I would do some research on, first of all, where I might want to sell. So everybody, well, I won't say everybody, a lot of people bash Etsy. Etsy has its downfalls, but so does every one of those options that I mentioned and more. Every single platform is going to have an upside and a downside, and every single one of them is going to have fees. So everybody says, oh, Etsy's fees. Well, if you do your research, you will find that every single venue has fees. And you have to connect a payment method to your venue. So you will also have like PayPal or a Square or something like that. They're going to take your fees as well. So I would, if I were you, go to all of those venues, those that you were interested in, and do a little, documenting. Get a clean piece of paper and put down, Etsy, and what is the cost to get in? What is the cost per listing? What percentage do they take? And then what payment methods do they take? And my handwriting is terrible. And then what are the fees for that? So you'll want to understand each venue's fee situation. Venmo is another option. Not all venues will allow you to use Venmo. So if you're going to sell with a certain venue, you have to understand what they'll take and how you'll connect with that, and what percentage they're going to take of your sales. So that is probably one of the biggest things I suggest, is because you really need to understand what that venue is all about. Now, some folks will say, oh, maybe I should just set up my own website. There are lots of options for setting up your own website. Some of them require very little customization on your part. So I don't have this. I've looked into it many times. I've thought about it many times. There is an upfront investment, upfront cost with some of them. And some of them require, a routine fee, a percentage. So again, each one of your venues you need to understand the option. And you need to understand the payment methods for that as well. Now, a thing about both a venue like Etsy and your own website is you need to drive the customers to you. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit, but I want you to walk away today knowing that whatever option you choose is going to cost you something. It may cost you something up front. It may cost you something routinely, and it may cost you something, it may be both. So that is the thing. Research, go to these sites, go to Etsy, go to Michael's Maker Place, go to all of these places and understand how it works. PJ says, what about possible returns? Yes. So every one of these venues will have a little advice or a frequently asked question, and some of them will allow you to write your own policy on returns. So I have a policy on my in my Etsy shop of I will allow a return once, and I pay shipping one way. So that's my policy. You can write up your own as long as your venue allows you to do that, and you'll need to understand that. So anytime you're going to look at a venue, you need to understand all of it. Payment, what it's going to cost you, and that leads me to this next one, photography. So I will tell you as a buyer, and I am just as much a buyer as I am a seller. Photography is one of the most key things to my interest in purchasing something. So if the photos aren't good, I'm just going to keep scrolling because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of jewelry out there, thousands and hundreds of thousands of pieces of jewelry out there. So if you do a search for a certain kind of thing and the photo's not good, people are going to keep scrolling. So I'm not here to educate just on photography today, but I'll give you a few pieces of advice. Here's one: lighting, editing, and placement. And those are three things that I always encourage folks in terms of, yes, Tracy, watch for scammers. That is a huge issue in every venue. Photography, lighting, editing, and placement. Now, when you do your research about your venue, some of the venues have specific photography requirements. I know for a fact that Amazon Handmade requires you to have a certain percentage of white in your background. So don't go and take a bunch of photos and then expect that you can just drop them in. That's another thing to research when you look into any kind of venue that you plan on selling in. And yes, Michelle, you don't have to be a pro. I am not a pro photographer. I take all of my photos with my phone. That's right here. I take all of my photos with my phone. And if you have a more modern phone, most likely you can do editing, and you can crop and do all of the things. And there are apps out there that will help you to take backgrounds out. So if you need a certain percentage of white for a background based on a requirement of your venue, you can use an editing app to help you. So do your research here on venue and do some practicing. So get out into the light, but not in direct sunlight. Get yourself a light box. Do some research on the best light box to use. That will help you. And the basic editing functions on your phone will help you to crop your photos to make sure that they are in good, in good like angles, that kind of thing. So another thing you can do to research photography is go and look at the pictures that you think are very nice. So the things that catch your attention when you're shopping and scrolling and looking at jewelry. So do your research, check it out, see what you like to see in order to get yourself, set up in all of the ways for photography and get your listings done. And yes, some venues have very specific requirements, and some actually allow and encourage video as well. I believe I know Etsy does, I know eBay does, and they will have all of their information on their sites. So when you're doing your research about the site, you want to understand any requirements and look for the resources. And I do know that at least Etsy and Amazon have like a forum, like a group of people that get out there and talk about selling on these venues. And so you can get advice from just, scrolling through some previous posts on their forums. So photography is so important. You want to showcase your items and make sure that they look beautiful so that people will be enticed to buy them. You can think about props. You can think about backgrounds. Very often a nice clean background is a good way to display something, but there's also some people who do a really nice artistic job of putting things together on a table so that their piece will pop out. And Santa Barbara girl, I can't help you with that, unfortunately. But there's lots of ways to explore the photography thing. And again, you could Google how to take pictures of jewelry, and there will be tons of things. Go to YouTube, and there will be tons of advice out there. But I suggest making sure that your piece is nice and brightly seen, that it's a nice placement, that people can get a good look at it, and take multiple shots. So your venue will dictate how many photos you can use, and I would use them all. Try to get your piece from all different angles. Try to show your pendant up close if you've got a nice pendant necklace. Show off the ear wires if they're really cool. I mean, just anything that will entice that customer to take a look at your piece. So I'm gonna switch gears really quickly before we get to the next list item, because when you are stocking up on your items and you want to get into production mode, you've got some storage that you need to do. And I did not know these were available, these lockables. So this one, let me pull this up a little bit. This is the largest one. This is a 2XL lockable, and it is a lockable because you've got this red little strip that goes through the whole thing. If you press that and pull up, you can open up your little compartment, but if it's not pressed, you can't. So it's lockable. And this one has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 cubbies. And this is super cool to store all of those little spacer beads. So we talked about these guys. Maybe you want to take your little pressed glass beads off of the strand. You can drop them into one of your containers. All of those fun ear wires and pieces and parts you'll need some storage for. This is like a half version of the stackable, and it has 7 compartments. So it works the same way. You press on the little red strip, and then you can open it up and close that back up to lock it. These are fantastic. So this can get thrown into your duffel bag or into your purse, and you've got all of your stuff to go. Renee says she uses fishing tackle boxes. This is a two compartment lockable, and I like this to store jewelry. So if you've got some earrings that you are putting into your shop and you need a place to store them, you can drop them into your lockable, and this can be part of how you keep your inventory. Easy travel size, yes. So these are cool. If you're looking for some storage, this is something that every seller is going to be looking for, is somewhere to store all of their inventory and their supplies. There's also these guys. These are called keeper squares, and these are stackable jars and 2 lids. So these are little individual stacking little containers. These are great for things like crimp tubes, things like crimp covers. So you can drop yours in there, and then you can put them in, and you get 2 stacks. And you can set these on your table and you can see them because they're clear. So I would grab a bunch of these for all of your ear wires and your findings and things that you really are going to be needing when you're making things. Yes, seed beads, Giselle. All of the things that you're going to be using, and you may be using a lot of because you're making things in more of a production environment. So hopefully you're successful in selling and you are in a production mode. Maybe you've got a really good selling earring and you can stock, put all of your pieces and parts in these guys and you're good to go. So that's your storage. So let me go back to my list here. And they are a great price and they're 40% off, you guys. So that's another thing is when you're getting ready to start selling, like look for those opportunities, look for the sales, look for the ways to get good deals on the things that you need. Okay, pricing is a big one. This one is something you want to research and research and research and research. So when you're selling in person, so Julie probably talked about this. I have to say, I don't remember exactly the whole show, but I'm sure she talked about pricing. One of the things that you want to understand if you're selling in person in your town, in your city, in your county, is what the market can bear in that area. So are you in a market where people are buying 14 karat gold and swanky findings and swanky beads? Or are you in a more conservative area where maybe people are looking for things that aren't quite so high end? So understand the market in your area. However, when you go out online, you are accessible to everyone. So what I suggest is doing lots of searches for the kinds of things that you make. So I last week made this pretty little necklace. And this, we used this little fun closure, like instant necklace piece. If I can get that to go back in there. And we just added a fun charm and a bead. If you're selling something like this, I would do some research around what is, looking minimalistic pendant necklace, gold tone pendant necklace, simple pendant necklace. Do some searches and get some values of those pieces sort of across the board. So if you just pop those into Google, you'll get a ton of results about that in all different kinds of venues. I would also do your research in the venues you're thinking about. So go to Etsy or Michael's Maker Place and do your research to see what is the value of this. Now, there are also tons of formulas out there that talk about pricing, jewelry pricing specifically. And I'm not going to give you advice on that, but I want you to go and do the work around understanding what your pieces are going to be priced at when you want to go live on one of your venues. You may find a pricing difference with something like this on Etsy or Michael's or Amazon Handmade or eBay. There could be a tremendous variation there. So you'll want to understand the pricing globally, and you'll want to understand the pricing specific to the venue that you're working on. So you can do a search for pendant necklace in Etsy. You could do a gold tone simple pendant necklace in any one of those venues. You probably get a lot, thousands of things returned. Thanks, Santa Barbara girl. So do your research for the specific scenario that you are selling in. Now, things I think about with pricing. So I think about the components. So I think about what did I spend on the pieces and parts? Are any of these pieces and parts like hard to get? Are they vintage? Are they really unique? Are they high end? Are they like a gold filled or a gold plated? Are they a gemstone? This is not a gemstone, but if it was, I would price this higher. And you do want to think about the time involved. Now, we made this, you watched me, if you watched last week, you watched me make this. It took me minutes to make this piece. So I didn't invest a lot of time in it, but it did take a little bit of time. But maybe something else that you make might take a really long time. Seed bead work, that kind of thing, takes a lot of effort and time. So there's lots of ways that you can think about pricing, but I would highly recommend do your homework, get your pricing right, and do not undercut, do not lowball your pieces. There is a certain stigma that people get or that you can get when you lowball your designs. If I price this at $24.99, people might say that's a great value for this piece. But if I were to make this $5.99, people would say, oh, it must not be very good quality. It must not be well made. It must not be, it must not be that good. And they're going to scroll on to try and find something, believe it or not, that is a little bit higher priced because they're going to associate better value with that. So, that is a thing. That is a thing. And people may count you out if they think your prices are too low. Now, they may also count you out if your prices are too high. So it's all about this, you guys. Research, research, research. Understand the market and get on the forums and talk to folks and find out what they're doing, and don't get overly hung up on that. There is a middle ground. I mean, you've got to do the research to understand if this runs anywhere from $15.99 to $27.99. You can decide where you want to put that. And I would put it a little bit towards the higher side, $24.99 or $24. And, that seems like it could be about right. So it's, a lot of it is trial and error. A lot of it is experience, and talk to your friends who are selling, understand how they're doing. And that will help you to understand what you can do and what you might want to think about doing. So also, you've got to factor in I'm going to skip number 5 for a second. You want to factor in your packaging. So I'm going to show you what I do. And then I'm going to also give you some suggestions. So I went to a graphic designer and had my branding done. So you may also have to think about branding for your shop. And this is on my Etsy shop. This is my branding. My brand is Deb Loves, L-U-V-S, Jewelry Designs, jewelry to fall for. And I went and had business cards printed up. So I drop one of these in every one of my packages. So folks can find me. These are stickers. And I use these to close up my packages. I wrap up my designs in tissue paper, and I put one of these on, and then I use bubble wrap typically before I put it into a package. This is a card that folds over, and a bracelet or a necklace can go through here, and I will glue it across the top. It's got a little foldable edge. And then these are my custom earring cards. So they actually printed one of these on. So I use a punch to punch through the printing. And then I have my information at the bottom, and my earrings will hang. Let me try and find one. Let me grab one out of my lockables. So I make a lot of long earrings. So my card is extra long, and I will pop my earring on like that. And yes, Vistaprint. There are all kinds of sources for you to create your logo and do all of your printing of all the things. Thank you, Santa Barbara Girl. I've actually changed my branding a couple of times. I used to have a really edgy one back in the beginning. This is softer. And what do I have at the bottom of the card? I have my email address, my Etsy site, This was before I got rid of my Amazon shop, but I've got my social media handles as well. You could put whatever you like. You may just want your shop name, and that's it. So here's some things you can do. When I sell somebody a pair of earrings that are post or don't have a closure, I include a little package of 3 different options for earring backs. So Kathleen, I'll tell you about that in just a minute. So I might include some of these, 1 set of those. I didn't open this package, but these are like the ribbed ones. So these are available. They're made by Beadsmith. They're available in the shopping bag. And then I also will offer these for posts. And I throw a little baggie together. I buy some little poly resin bags like these, except smaller. And I will throw that into a package if folks buy a pair of earrings, because it's just a little customer service thing. But that's got to be factored into your pricing. And if you've got some tarnish things that might tarnish, you may want to add these tarnish strips. These are in the shopping bag as well. You can just cut a small piece of these, throw it into the bag, and especially if you've got metals that are tarnishing. They're great to put with the hook earrings, yes. So that's something you can do as a little packaging thing, but factor that into your pricing. And then in the shop, I think Julie showed these as well. Look at these fun holiday bags. So these are in the shopping bag. If you just want to customize a few of your purchases in your shop, so maybe somebody makes a large purchase, you could throw in a bag for them, a gift bag, or you can actually put it in the bag for them. So these are so festive and cute. And I mean, who doesn't love a pretty bag? And these are reusable too, so somebody can actually store their item in this bag as well. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Yeah, or no, 6. Here's the other one. You get a set of 6 bags. So these are 40% off. And Monica, I didn't see any others, but maybe the ladies can check that out for us. So packaging, factor in your packages. And there was a question I was going to go back to, free shipping versus charging. Yes, let me make a note of that really quick, because I want to talk about that. Charge. Boxes. The bags are out of stock. I'm sorry, guys. Boxes can work. I think it's a personal preference. So if you like a box, you can actually, if you get stickers like these, something made up like this, you can put your sticker on the box. You can also use a stamp on the box. So if you want to stamp a heart or have a custom stamp made up, you can stamp them. I don't use boxes. I usually wrap, and put in a padded envelope. That's usually what I do. But there's lots of packaging options, and that's another thing to research because you have endless options and you'll want to do something that's cost effective. And I'll tell you, my packaging has changed 15 times over the years that I've been selling. I mean, I've done it differently since I've been selling. So it just depends, and it may depend on the item that's purchased as well. So earrings you might package differently than something you might package, you might package a bracelet differently. And the materials also may dictate. So if you've got a really high-end set of beads that you used, you may want to package that differently. Use more bubble wrap or use a hard cardboard box. So I would give yourself some options. And of course, as your shop progresses, you can start to add things to the mix. I think I see on the screen there are some earring cards that are available. I don't have those on hand, but those are available in the shopping bag as well. Before I get to marketing, let me talk about shipping. So that is another thing to research. So each venue if you go with Etsy, if you go with, Michael's Maker Place, understand what their requirements are because they dictate how you do things. Let me tell you something that Etsy does. Etsy says, if you want to offer free shipping, we'll make sure that your pieces get into the algorithm early. If you don't, we're going to push yours down in the algorithm. Know that about Etsy. So guess what? Most everybody is offering free shipping on Etsy. Otherwise, if someone is looking for let's go back to our little necklace. If you're selling this and you don't offer free shipping and somebody searches for a turquoise simple necklace, this is going to be at the end of the search and there could be thousands of pieces. So this is what you've got. You've got to research your venue and understand their shipping requirements. And there are lots of options if you want to do it yourself. So if you want to do it yourself through your own website, you could use things like ShipStation and you could use Pirate Ship. But I'll tell you honestly, through Etsy, they get discounted shipping. And there are eBay also does a nice job of giving you the best shipping price. So I will say for all of the, sort of downside, there are definitely upsides as well. But if you're selling in a venue that is not your own, you have to follow what they do. You can't say, oh, no, I'm going to do my own thing over here. You have to follow what they are telling you. So that's another thing to understand. And what I like to do, so I'm lucky enough to have well, I won't say lucky. I've worked really hard over the years to get a following of people. And so I will get people reach out and say, hey, Deb, I saw you post these earrings. Are they available? Can I purchase them? And I will sell to them directly through PayPal and I'll do a PayPal invoice. I very often, especially for repeat customers, will offer discounted shipping. So if I know something's going to price out at $4.58, I might offer them $3 shipping because they're a repeat customer, because they know shipping is expensive and I know shipping is expensive, but that might keep them coming back to me because I'm willing to give them a deal on shipping. You can decide how it works for you and how affordable it is for you to do these kinds of things. But it's a research item. It's a big one. Shipping is expensive. I don't know how many times I've said it on this show and other shows. I need a t-shirt that says, I love free shipping because I sure do. So, free shipping is great, but it may not be an option for you, especially when you're getting started. So that's my spiel on shipping. And Santa Barbara, I don't know about gray mailing. That's something I'm not familiar with. But let me talk about this. Oh, do I insure? So, if you're working through a venue, you may not have that option to insure, or it will come with a certain level of insurance. Now, if I'm selling direct to someone buys something from me, they see it on Facebook or Instagram and they say, Deb, I love that, I want it, and I sell it to them, I can insure it. And I will if I think it's worth the value it's worth a higher value than what you already get through the mailing service. So through USPS or UPS or whatever you might use. So that's what I like to do. Santa Barbara Girl, can you lead the customer to your website on a card inside? So that's what I do. I do this. So this is my business card. I throw that into every single package I send out, whether I've sent it to them 10 times or not, because they can find me at my Etsy shop. They can find me on my social media. They can email me if they're looking for something. Hi, Debbie J. So 100% yes. So let's talk about this. this is the sort of the center of it all. So I will tell you, whether you sell on Etsy or Amazon or eBay, or you have your own website, people aren't going to just automatically find you. I can tell you, after selling on Etsy for how many years? 11 years or more now? No, I don't know. I can't do math. People only occasionally randomly find me. It takes work to get people. You have to lead a horse to water, and you have to make them drink. So you have to get people to your jewelry, and you've got to get it out there in front of them. And I will tell you, as I said, I've worked really hard over the years, pushing people to my jewelry. So when I opened up my shop, I opened up my Etsy shop with 24 items. That was my objective. I wanted to have 24 items, and my items, were out there, and I immediately started putting it out there on social media. And back then I was just on Facebook, and I would put a post out and say, hey, look at my brand new necklace. Look at this. It's so cool. And then people would start to comment, and then I would drop the link to this piece on Etsy. And sometimes that thing would sell. And I would use all of the tools on Etsy. So Etsy allows you to run sales, allows you to give coupon codes, allows you to do a lot of things that are both service related and marketing. And so you've got to work at it. If you have no social media, I highly recommend that you get out on social media and start establishing an account and showing off your jewelry so that you can get people to your shop. There are thousands and hundreds of thousands of pieces of jewelry out on these sites. And so it is critical that you do the legwork to push people to you, and it will take time. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, you might have your friends go and buy up those first 24 items. I had someone back then buy like their whole, like all Christmas gifts, and they bought like 10 things from me, and I was so excited. But you've got to get them to you. And marketing can also be, sending out a postcard, sending out emails. Once you build up an email list, you can start sending things out, start getting things to people and putting things in front of them, and let people know when you're adding new things. Let people know when you've got new items for sale. Let me go back and look. I know I missed a few questions. Tracy said, I place on Facebook, Instagram, and sometimes TikTok. I have a separate bead page on Facebook. Yes, so all of those things are going to get people to your pieces. What do you put in the description other than the obvious? So, Monica, that's a challenge. I always try to include what it is. So the word necklace has to be in this description. I might say, gold, simple gold necklace, or I might say, gold, charm necklace, gold tone charm necklace. And I might give it a name, the Deb gold tone charm necklace. But I notice now that Etsy actually is offering help in giving your names and descriptions. The thing about Etsy and Amazon and Michaels and eBay is they do make things fairly easy for you to get your listings done and to help you be successful. If you have your own site, you're building out your own website, you're on your own for a lot of those things. So just know that if you want to get started, it might be better to go with one of the better known names before and really build up a following, so then you can eventually leap over to do your own thing. Lydia says, how do you not risk to be overwhelmed when posting many items? Many could order at the same time. So, you know, I have, so first of all, my Etsy site right now is woefully, I haven't been taking care of it. I haven't been fostering it. I haven't been adding anything to it. So it's sitting out there sad right now. But I think, you know, most of the time, if you're sending somebody to your Etsy site, I think people are good with scrolling. I think people are pretty good at scrolling. If people are searching for something specific, they're only going to get the specific algorithm that they're asking for. They may not even see your piece. But I have over 400 items in my shop. So, you know, it's just what you feel comfortable with having, the volume that you feel comfortable having. And I'm not sure I fully understand. Many could order at the same time. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but only one person should be able to purchase something, unless you've got more than one. And if you're talking about having multiple shops, I have had multiple shops, but I only sell, like, this would only be on one shop, in one shop. The other shop would have a different necklace. So I don't cross sell. That's something I would never do because it's way too confusing. So let me go down to, let's see. Tracy says she has a travel blog. That's excellent. That's another way to drive people to you. AI can help. Yeah, that's another thing that honestly was not around when I got started. So that's something to think about. Monica's asking, do you have to add all the dimensions? So that's a great question. The dimensions. So most of these sites have lots of data elements that you can add. And it's simply just adding, you know, typing into boxes what the dimensions are, what the colors are, what the material is. Most of them are not required. What I used to do when I started my Etsy shop was there was a box so you would go in, it's very different now, but you would go in and here's the title. You would type in your title and then there was a description box. I would put everything in here. I would put the length. If it's an earring, I would put the weight, the length of, you know, and I would list the materials. And I always put a little catchy part of my branding. I put a little catchy comment into the comment box. But in these sites now, you have lots of data elements that you can enter in. I think it's helpful to add some, but sometimes it's overkill. You decide what you want to add. I think dimensions, length, size of a bracelet, some of the materials, it should either be in your written description or in a data element. Monica asks, I have, especially on bracelets, like adjustable to wrist size 6'7". Also, Tracy, that brings up a good point too. If you are making bracelets, and bracelets that you can add extender chains to, that's a good thing for selling online. Lydia says, too many orders to fulfill. I would love to have that problem. I have dreamed of having that problem. I have dreamed of hiring local teenagers to help me. I've never had that problem, but I'm sure some folks have that problem. So you can control what you want to put on your site. So don't automatically assume you're going to have too many orders to fulfill. Put your items out there and see how your sales go and see how you can keep up with your shipping. I used to have to do all my shipping and all of that packing and shipping when I was working full time, and it was a little bit crazy. Heather says, I think she means if your pieces aren't all made up before they order. Oh, okay. So I usually make mine and put them out there. You could do like a made to order. So if this is your design and you want to sell this piece, you could have all these parts, put them in one of your little boxes, and you could you could make them up when the order comes. But most of my pieces are one of a kind. So I usually sell one of a kind pieces. Very rarely I might have a couple or a few. So that's up to you, and you have to be able to keep up with that for sure. Because if you make a commitment to sell something to someone and you have to make it, there are also timelines that your venue will give you. You have to ship by a certain time. You have to, make sure that that item gets to the person in a certain amount of time. So understand that if you're doing made to order kinds of items. And Vicky says, how many pieces are ideal to have before selling? As a beginner who wants to sell, is there amount of inventory pieces to start out? So when I started Etsy, their page fit 12 pieces. Like you could do 12 listings on a page. Like if you opened up your on your laptop or on your iPad, you would see 12 pieces, and then you'd have to page over. I wanted 2 pages. I felt like that was a great place to start. Like it looked like it wasn't too sparse, but it also, somebody had to page over to keep looking. You decide what you're comfortable with. All of the venues have different, numbers of photos, listings that are available. But make sure you're comfortable with the number of items. Back to the question of, can you fulfill the orders, that kind of thing. Michelle says, biggest is to remember to take a breath. The order hill is not insurmountable. You and helpers can get through it. Amen. If I have a lot of orders and I need help, I'm going to go and I'm going to get that help. So, and just go in order and take a breath for sure. Tracy says, I learned the hard way. I sold a bracelet and had to remake it because it was the wrong size. Yeah. That goes back to making sure that your description is really good and that, that folks know your return policy and your policy for remaking too. Some folks actually charge up front for an adjustment. So you'll have to look into that. Let's see. I meant to post. When you post many items for sale, do you risk getting stuck with more orders to fulfill than you're able to? Yes, but I don't see that people sell things that voluminously these days. But if you are lucky enough to have that, you may want to ratchet back. But I can tell you, even in my heyday, when I was really promoting my shop, I might have had 1 or 2 orders a week. So, and I could keep up with that. And they were like, 2 things in one order and 3 things in another. But you'll have to see how it goes for you. If it's a lot, then you got to pull some back. When selling locally in person, how much product would be enough to start with? Ooh, boy. That's a hard question. I've gone to shows with lots of stuff and not sold anything. And I've gone to shows with very little and not sold anything. So it's just really kind of, you decide what your setup is, put your best pieces out and bring extra. And if something sells, put something in its place. If you know it's a market where stuff sells like hotcakes and you've done your research about that show, then you may want to bring more and put out more. That is just a really hard question to answer. It just really is. Santa Barbara girl, you can be my elf. We could list our stores on the fan group. Yes, you can. And let's see. Vicky says she also does one of a kind. How many of each item would you need? Or what if you only have like 2 items? What do you do? Most of mine, Karen, are one of a kind. Like probably 80 or probably 90% of what I sell is a one of a kind. You can do it however you'd like. If this was a bestseller, like you sold this and you made another one and put it out there and it sold again and people are asking about it, I'd make more and I'd put them out there. Maybe you've got a best-selling earring. Maybe these guys are bestsellers. We made these last week, or I made these last week. Maybe these are best sellers. Make a bunch. But it's totally up to you. Most of mine are one of a kind. So it's up to you what you want to do. Vicky or Tracy says the same thing. And yes, tell them that it's one of a kind. And once it's gone for sure. I always say that in my description. I say this is a one of a kind. It can't be remade. I always say that in every listing, or at least I used to. Let's see. What if you're selling a bazaar in person? How many items should you bring with you? I can't answer that, but you have to kind of gauge. One other thing about selling in person, I know we're running over, guys, but I think just let me try and get through the rest of these questions. Selling in person, one thing you should ask the organizer of your event is how many jewelry sellers are there? How many jewelry vendors are there? I always ask that question because I don't want to be one of 50 different jewelry sellers at the event. No, thank you. It's just too many. So if you're one of 3 or one of 5, if it's a really big show, 10 might be good, but I would understand that. And I would also try and understand who else is there. Try and get what they do. Really get into it. Try and do that research to understand the show. If you have been to the show before, you may know about it. You may know what you were seeing. That can help you kind of figure out what you might want to bring and how much you want to bring. Tracy, I like that. Silver and gold. Sometimes you can offer color options, metal options for a piece. Oh, thank you, Santa Barbara girl. Let's see. I think I've gotten to the end of the comments. Let me flip up, you guys. I'm sweaty. It's warm here this morning. Thank you guys for listening to my opinions and my tips and tricks. Again, I am not an expert, but I've been through things. I've been through a few things with selling. And I'll tell you, just another personal story. So I told you my Etsy site is just, I haven't put anything new in there for a while. I haven't really done anything, so I don't sell much. But when I do, I'm always like, woohoo, happy dance, because I'm so surprised that somebody actually found me. So just, you guys, there's so much more to this, but again, research is the number one advice I can give you if you're thinking about selling in person or at a show or online, your own website, on Etsy, wherever you want to do it. There's lots to think about, but I'd say if you really think you want to do it, get that research in and go through all of the things that you need to think about so that you can be successful. And you can always stop if you don't want to do it, or ratchet back, or put things on pause. And most shops have a vacation mode as well. So if you want to take a break to that point of, oh my God, what if I get overwhelmed with sales? Oh my gosh, that's so cool. But you may need to put things on pause while you catch up. So I'm so glad. Thank you guys for listening. I'm so glad that maybe even just one little thing may have helped you today. And guys, remember, everything that I showed you today is also 40% off. So we've got beads, we've got containers, we've got some fun things, some ear wires and some fun things for you to help you with getting your shops up and running. And so I hope this has been helpful, you guys. Julie will be here on Thursday. I had to think about what day it is. Julie will be back on Thursday and Monday afternoon. I'll be back next week on Tuesday. And as always, I appreciate that you're here. Please don't forget to close out your carts if you've started one. We don't want you to miss out on the 40% deals that you can get here at Beadaholique.com. I'll see you guys soon. Be good. Have fun. Bye.